he's showing starting under saddle fairly young. But the significance is this 2-year period, and so that's one big thing. He's also stating he didn't come this way. And so some of the horses, in my experience, it can be a bloodline or it could be an experience. So you've got environment, bloodline, of course, training as well, as to what will create a horse. He's actually saying from the age 0 to 3 he was not like this, so he would have changed fairly young in his behavior, and it would have been with showing the neck carriage. He's saying not born that way, he's saying it was changed. Also had, I was going to ask you this funnily enough, I also had a lot of eye flickering, working to be Western. So I have a Western saddle, and I'm being shown, you guys call it, with the Western world, a tie down. In the English world, that would be a standard martingale or standing martingale. I have something tight here. I'm not sure if that's the current time or if that's the past time, because I'm not asking questions, but I do have a tie down. So that will also give my neck carriage some, and that indicates to me if there's a tie down that he's been a working horse in that discipline. I've stood up so that I can feel him better, because this isn't ideal. On some chairs you can just sit down, but I've stood up and then I can feel him in my body, so my body becomes his, and you can feel what it's like. I put my fingers to my ears because I do hear everything, and it helps tightness in the right side of the neck. Actually, we have a chiropractor here. It should be pretty neat if we could piggyback on this. So I have a tightness on the right side, so that also validates what he was saying earlier to me about the neck carriage, but it's more on, he's showing a scar on a lower part. There's a scar on potentially the front right maybe, but he's showing a scar lower down, so there's an old injury. And he's not an accident, it's an old injury. That means he's saying man-induced. Okay. Move, and I'm seeing the pelvis really move, so I don't see a lock there, and it's really going up and down, so the guy's got it, and yet he's still saying it's higher on the left, which is odd, because if I see him stand, I've got it balanced and I've got the motion, but he's still highlighting the left side more, so that leaves me a little more perplexed on a visual, so I'll point that out. And then I have movement fine, and I have him highly athletic in that hind end. So that's interesting. Okay, somebody gets in the saddle and we switch from a calm horse to a bold horse. That's not it at all. There will be something that triggers the behavior, and it will be past issues triggering the thing. Is because you've been wondering, does he like you? Absolutely. And I'm smiling because I have an absolutely. So then we start listing what he likes. I don't just like a yes, it's not enough for me. I like proof. So he's saying January is significant, and one reason when we're on a ride, I don't like to talk about a horse I'm going to talk to because I don't want any information, but he is saying January is significant, so that's a good thing. He's also showing your energy, loves your energy, you're very calming around him, and when you touch him, it's very meaningful, soulful. I was going to say meaningful, he's calling it soulful. So there's a touch that you have that's very genuine, so authentic, and very soulful, and it doesn't change very often, so your energy pretty much stays the same. You're consistent with it, and you're quite balanced with it, so he really does like that. So you've not just been allocated him, I think you spend a lot of time with him, or the time that you can spend, and that works well for him. Your expectations aren't that high, so it's not like we have to get there very quickly. You're filling in a lot of holes. You're doing the groundwork too, and it's not too long, and it's not labored, and it's not pressed. So he's showing a scene where I think you're disengaging the hind end. So he's showing bringing this round and just asking, and it's a little at a time, and very soft. Not a lot of energy, so you're not bringing up saying do this. I actually don't have this, to be honest. It's not bring it up and do a lot. It's very calm, it's very consistent, and there's a lot of pauses. So we will say the horse learns from a release, but I actually have, it's the pause between the notes, and he's going, there's a lot of pauses, and that works well for him. Do you understand that? Okay, so I've got the Western style. I don't have too much of a tilt in the pelvis, so I have a, you know, the English is the 3-point, Western's the tilt. I actually have an in the middle, so not a pure tilt where the hind end's like that, your hind end, but I have that good. He's also saying thighs are on, so I'm trying to be descriptive. Thighs are on, legs are slightly forward, but not here. So they're slightly forward. So he goes, that's a good style. You're not gripping, so that's kind of neat too. Okay, slightly more weight in your right stirrup than your left. So he feels that. It's not enough to cue, no, he's not going off of a cue. So he's not saying, you know what, he's there, so I have to move that way. I know he's slightly off balance to the right, but I work with that. So I don't take that to be a cue, I work with it, and I realize James is slightly off. Okay, okay, hold on. He's actually, yeah. Maybe you look over your right, because he's saying you drop your right pelvis. So not only is more weight in the right, there's a slight tilt that way. Don't know if you're looking back that way and that's what it is, but there's a slight tilt. Yeah, shift. Okay. Now if I've got it right here, keep going forward. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, he likes it. Your body is consistent, and so many times when we learn to ride, we might have a difference, be it a lock in the knee, be it that the pelvis isn't moving. I find that a lot with people, that they're not soft, or be it that the shoulders, he's not moving. He's saying you're soft throughout your whole body. So your body is one, which is awesome. So we don't have you locked in at the pelvis. We have your pelvis moving nicely and your shoulders are not locked. He loves that. So he's basically saying he feels each part of your body and it works well. He would take it all. What does that mean? He's taking his head up, he's taking it all. I have a soft hand. So I have a soft hand, meaning open hand, and I also have a bit of slack in that rein. And he's saying, here, take it, but you actually remain pretty soft throughout. And even when he changes behavior, you're really good. I think you're ignoring a lot of what he does, and it works well for him because you're, in our terminology, it's called extinction. So you're allowing a behavior to just naturally go. It's working for him because for him he's saying, look, James is exceedingly relaxed. James is looking back and doing his thing, and that allows me to realize, although I'm getting in this state, I'm not getting told off, I'm not doing it wrong, I've got to figure it out. So it's a little different for him because instead of being told what to do, he's having to figure it out. So he does get lost in his head somewhat. So it's a new theory. If I repeat it, it's just because they're repeating it. It's a new way of being. Instead of saying, this is information's putting on you, you're putting it on, you're putting it on. He's actually saying, James is doing it, that he's there for me, but I have to figure it out, which is that made sense to you. And it made sense to you, James, so you understand that piece of the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what you like
So,
to do for fun.
and what? Okay. Oh, he's going to probably take that question first. That's cute. It's like, oh, taking that one. All right. Gosh. Ultimately, you're looking at reprogramming a horse. I have his. There's your tears. So I have his blueprint as quite hard. So if I cry, just know it's not me crying. It would mean you're reprogramming everything. You got your work cut out. There's your answer. So he's literally coming back with, if we were going to do arena work, if we're going to do cow work, if we're going to do a lot of ifs, it's like you're restarting that section to do it in a way that's relaxed. You're having to go over things to create a whole different horse. Do you understand that? Okay, now I'll see if he'll say what he wants to do. I think you're going to have to take him home, dude. Okay, all right. He's getting on well with you. Let's see here. So, Rooster. So one-on-one works pretty well. So when he gets that connection, he tries so damn hard. So you've got a horse really, really trying. It's like that trying overtakes everything else. But I have a great connect. He can get that connection. But also from the past, because of he's been reaching so high and not necessarily getting it, that's what he's carrying with him. If we can get him through that to go, you should be in the present time. Horses live in the present time. If we can get him in the present time, that would be a good connection piece. Is the biggest for fun. I have that, you could have this huge checklist of what you're doing doing it all right, and what needs to be done. It's like it's massive. We've got a tunnel of what's been done and what's yet to be done. But ultimately, I have the connection being the best fun thing to do. And I don't have him always understanding what that means. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
He looks kind of confused sometimes. if you're not asking anything and just being, he sort of looks confused with that, and hence it's connection that he's looking for, to learn what is a true connection. Ride with a tarp following you, ride with an umbrella in the air, who's going, you know what, do stuff like that, desensitizing from the saddle. Absolutely, he's going, that could be hard on him, could be fun, you'd enjoy it. I have you kind of a daredevil of many things. I mean, you look like you're
you could enjoy
you're
it.
fine with most things, and he's going, you know what, we should do that in the arena, you know, not here, not showing you, showing a bigger space, do spook busting from the saddle. Could be fun, and it would be a great thing for him. And pulling things. So like pull a tire while you're riding, pull a parachute while you're riding. I don't think he's had a lot of that. He's had somebody work him, and he's come up trumps on it in some ways. So a rider that appreciates a forward horse with personality, not necessarily not reliable in the sense of his decisions aren't always the right decisions. But certainly reliable and forward and stuff like that, yeah. So he's had a worker on his back, and he works out really well. Okay, so let's spotlight James, and then you guys can ask James any questions, because you've heard it from my standpoint, and you can comment. How do you feel? What resonates? How does this help you to help him? Anything you want to say?
He's pretty right on a lot of things. I mean, especially the saddle. How I ride in the saddle is pretty much spot on. I have a English and Western background, so I'm not completely back and not forward. And I do tend to lean to my right. And the round pen and how I push him and, you know, take away and not put too much pressure on him. He's pretty much corrected in that whole area.
Cool. So it makes sense to you. And then the recommendations he has, can you implement them?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny because I was talking to Jeff. He's one of the guys that rides here. And I was talking to him about doing different things. And he pulls the tire that we have here.
Yeah. Well, that's a neat thing.
I was going to do it eventually, or try to do it, when I felt confident enough that he could do it.
Yeah. So that's what he's saying is build up. But everything seems to be a lesson for him. It's not a given that you could just grab like your pony and go, let's pull a tire. It is a lesson. Like you said, when he's ready, it would be a good thing.
We don't push him too much, and he does have triggers, and he tries, and then, you know, he's been trying harder, so, and he does have a lot of speed. And, you know, I don't know, he's very powerful in the hind end too.
Yeah, those were his words too, right? Power in the hind.
He's very quick and agile when we're doing the team penning. You move off his hind end very well.
So how do you feel about your first animal communication session then?
I feel great. He didn't say anything bad about me. It was a good experience. A little bit of an emotional experience when you work hard with something.
Yeah.
You know. It was nice. Thank you.
So this is used to getting some Reiki, some of the therapeutic oils. We use Vala and Palo Santo. Getting some massage. Appreciating his consultation through and through.
She is straight behind it, so but
He's looking.
but yeah, when I move my arm so that he can see back to you, then he would relax his head. It's going down the water.
It is. He's dropping.